That's
So
one of my favorite things about his work is that,
yeah,
I think the conceptualist work could be very dry. I mean, still brilliant and interesting in an intellectual sense, but Doug did some work that, especially if you knew him, you could understand his humor, and at the same time, it was he was quite the intellectual, and there was so much going on behind the scenes of what he was thinking, and he would labor over the statements that might be one paragraph that was the description of the work and the critical language part of the work. He would work on those sometimes for weeks on that, just that one paragraph, to get the exact wording that he wanted. And I think, especially as a younger kid, I was, I loved what he was doing, and I sort of got the gist of it, especially with photographs. And sometimes he took me with him to do photographing things like the tide coming in at Race Point Beach, or some pieces he did with like sand eroding. Yeah, those are things that come to mind. Or this just flashed on me, but there's a piece he did where we went to Ballston Beach, and he wanted to float these triangular rods that were like 8 feet long, made of styrofoam, and basically take pictures as they were taken out by the tide in the water. And they weren't behaving the way he liked them. They were spinning and things like that. So at least I know it was me, and I probably Darcy were recruited or drafted to be out in the water, which was about a few degrees above freezing, and be underwater holding those things in place so that he could get a good picture. So we were part of at least knowing what was going on with him. But I don't think having the capacity to really understand the depth of it at that age. And I think as I got older, it was a little easier to grasp. But I remember also going to my dad as a kid and saying, "Hey, Dad, I had this great idea for a piece," and as if I was helping him, and he'd say, "Well, that's nice, but you should do that yourself. Make your own art."